Scientists just found a 42,000-year-old Neanderthal who never met a modern human, and it changes everything we thought we knew. For 40,000 years, they've been gone, vanished from Earth without a trace. But Neanderthals left behind a mystery that's haunted scientists for generations. How did our closest human relatives simply disappear? We've all heard the stories. Neanderthals were brutish cavemen, primitive, simple-minded, and eventually outcompeted by our smarter, more sophisticated ancestors. Their massive brow ridges, powerful builds, and supposedly limited intelligence made them evolutionary dead ends, or so we thought. But archaeologists have just uncovered shocking new findings that are completely rewriting what we know about Neanderthals. These discoveries aren't just changing our understanding of our ancient cousins. They're forcing us to rethink what it means to be human. Recent excavations across Europe and the Middle East have revealed 3 bombshell findings that overturn decades of scientific consensus, from sophisticated weapons technology to signs of complex social behaviors, and even a completely isolated population that managed to survive when others disappeared. These discoveries paint a picture of Neanderthals that's far more complex than anyone imagined. Chapter 1: The Last Neanderthals' Isolated Lineage. In the Rhône Valley of France, archaeologists made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. In 2015, paleoanthropologist Ludovic Slimak found a piece of a jaw belonging to a Neanderthal who lived around 42,000 years ago, right at the end of their time on Earth. Year after year, Slimak's team uncovered more remains of this individual, whom they named Thorin, after the Tolkien character, one of the last dwarf kings, and the end of his lineage. But it wasn't until 2025 that scientists completed the analysis of Thorin's DNA, and what they found was absolutely mind-blowing. According to researchers, Thorin's lineage had remained completely isolated from other Neanderthal populations for an astonishing 50,000 years. Think about that. For 50 millennia, this group lived without exchanging a single gene with other Neanderthals, despite living just a 2-week walk away from them. Everything must be rewritten about the greatest extinction in humanity, Slimak told reporters after the discovery. The DNA analysis showed high genetic homozygosity, a scientific term that indicates significant inbreeding in Thorin's recent ancestry. Even more surprising, researchers found no signs of interbreeding with modern humans, despite living during a time when both species coexisted. This discovery completely contradicts what we thought we knew about Neanderthal populations. How could groups living so close to each other remain genetically isolated for 50,000 years? The implications are staggering, suggesting that Neanderthal social structures and territorial behaviors were far more complex than we ever imagined. Chapter 2: Sophisticated Weapons Technology. For decades, scientists believed that Neanderthals only used stone tools and that bone weapons were exclusively a modern human invention. But a finding announced in April 2025 has completely shattered that assumption. In Russia's Mezmyskaya cave in the Caucasus Mountains, archaeologists identified a 3.5-inch object made between 80,000 and 70,000 years ago as the oldest bone spear tip ever found in Europe. Using advanced microscopy, computed tomography, and spectroscopy, researchers determined it was crafted from a bison bone, shaped with stone tools, and attached to a wooden shaft using natural adhesive. Let that sink in. Neanderthals weren't just using crude stone tools. They were crafting sophisticated composite weapons using multiple materials, including organic components that rarely survive in the archaeological record. The spear tip shows tiny cracks caused by violent impact, signs it was actually used to hunt prey. It was found alongside bison, goat, and deer bones, as well as stone tools and campfire remnants, painting a picture of a technologically advanced hunting culture. This discovery indicates that Neanderthals were experimenting with advanced weaponry long before modern humans arrived in Europe. They weren't technological primitives. They were innovative engineers, developing complex tools adapted perfectly to their environment and hunting needs. Chapter 3: Shared Culture and Burial Practices. Perhaps the most shocking discovery comes from Tinchamet Cave in central Israel, where archaeologists found indications that Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens didn't just live in the same regions. They actively shared cultural practices, including how they buried their dead. If you're enjoying these shocking discoveries about Neanderthals, make sure to hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss our upcoming videos on early humans. The excavations, published in March 2025, revealed 5 human burials from the Middle Paleolithic period, 80,000 to 130,000 years ago. These burials showed remarkable similarities. Bodies placed in fetal positions, often with red ochre pigment, suggesting symbolic rituals that both human species practiced. Professor Yossi Zaidner of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem emphasized that human connections and population interactions have been fundamental in driving cultural and technological innovations. The findings show that these different human groups weren't just competing, they were learning from each other, sharing ideas, and developing cultural practices together. The stone tools found at the site were crafted using the sophisticated levallois technique, a method used by both Neanderthals and early modern humans. The presence of ochre pigments suggests both groups used body decoration and symbolic expression. This discovery completely overturns the narrative that Neanderthals were replaced by superior modern humans. Instead, it reveals a complex relationship where different human species influenced each other's behavior for tens of thousands of years through both cooperation and competition. Chapter 4: Why these discoveries matter. These 3 discoveries, Thorin's isolated lineage, the bone spear tip, and the shared burial practices, aren't just interesting historical footnotes. They fundamentally transform our understanding of human history and what it means to be human. For starters, they demolish the simplistic narrative that Neanderthals were primitive brutes, outcompeted by smarter, more advanced, modern humans. The archaeological record now shows they were technological innovators who developed sophisticated hunting weapons, maintained complex social structures, and engaged in symbolic practices, including ritualized burials. The isolation of Thorin's lineage for 50,000 years forces us to reconsider Neanderthal social dynamics. These weren't simple, wandering bands. They maintained distinct territories and social boundaries for tens of thousands of years, suggesting complex cultural identities. Most importantly, the signs of cultural sharing between Neanderthals and early modern humans reveals that human history wasn't a linear march of progress, with one species simply replacing another. It was a complex web of interactions, with different human species learning from, competing with, and sometimes breeding with each other. As Professor Israel Hershkovitz of Tel Aviv University put it, these findings paint a picture of dynamic interactions shaped by both cooperation and competition. Chapter 5: Conclusion. The shocking truth about Neanderthals isn't that they were primitive failures on the human family tree. It's that they were remarkably like us, innovative, social, territorial, and capable of symbolic thought. They crafted sophisticated weapons, maintained distinct social groups for tens of thousands of years, and shared cultural practices with early modern humans. They weren't evolutionary dead ends. They were our cousins, competitors, and sometimes collaborators in the complex story of human history. These discoveries don't just change how we see Neanderthals, they change how we see ourselves. The line between them and us isn't nearly as clear as we once thought. We carry their DNA in our cells, up to 2% of the genome for many people of European and Asian descent. Their innovations may have influenced our ancestors' technologies and cultural practices. The next time you hear someone use Neanderthal as an insult, meaning primitive or unintelligent, remember these discoveries. Our ancient cousins were sophisticated, innovative, and complex, just like us, and their story is far more fascinating than we ever imagined. What other secrets might still be buried, waiting to be discovered? The search continues, and with each new finding, the remarkable story of our shared human past grows richer and more complex. To watch the latest on how early humans lived, click this video here.